everyone, this is Catherine Klebnick, and today we'll be discussing diversity barriers in mentor relationships. First, we should talk about why we should encourage diversity in mentoring relationships. Simply stated, there is no downside. Two quotes here from David Clutterbuck illustrate that point. The first reads, "It benefits the disadvantaged employee for whom doors begin to open up. It benefits the mentor who learns how to interact with and get the most from employees of widely differing backgrounds, and it benefits the company by making much more effective use of the talent available." And the second reads, "From a societal and business perspective, diversity mentoring addresses in a powerful way issues of marginalization, inequality, and waste of talent." So essentially, this is a win-win-win. The mentor benefits, the mentee benefits, and so does the organization. And even better, it allows us to raise up those who might not otherwise have a voice. But attaining success in a diverse mentoring relationship means that both the mentor and mentee must overcome a few barriers. We'll discuss two of them today. The first barrier we might find in a diverse partnership is cultural. Culture impacts the relationship in a multitude of ways. Clutterbuck again noted how our unconscious bias can undermine a mentoring relationship. When you don't understand your partner's culture, you probably won't feel comfortable discussing those deep issues that are so critical in working towards your goals. And when you simply don't understand someone's values, the guidance you may provide as a mentor might not be in the best interest of the mentee. So how can the mentor and mentee overcome these barriers? It boils down to making the effort to understand one another and being tolerant of one another. Ask questions, not just superficial ones. Read up on their culture. If your partner speaks a different language, consider learning some basic phrases. All of this really helps you to develop more of an awareness. A really important one here is to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. The world is a diverse place, and learning from one another is so important to making this relationship work. When we think about how organizations can overcome cultural barriers, it is as simple and as hard as putting together the right program. A culturally aware program, unsurprisingly, includes input from many different people and many different cultures. It aims to attract those managers with a high multicultural intelligence. And here's another great Clutterbuck quote that talks about the importance of cultural training for the mentor and mentee. The second barrier to discuss today is generational. The era you are born in undoubtedly shapes you. Each generation has its own set of defining attributes that we can look to understand their values and principles. Only once we understand how older and younger generations feel about a wide range of topics can we begin to understand how to treat one another. Listed here are just a few areas in which we might see generational differences. Communication is a big one. Millennials and Generation Z might prefer quick email or text to check in, while baby boomers might want an in-person meeting or phone call. Catering to the individual helps us overcome that barrier. But really, when it comes down to it, the relationship might be doomed if the mentor or mentee cannot empathize and bend to one another's style. To avoid that, mentors and mentees should understand what makes the other tick. What does he or she value? Is it money? Do they want someone who doesn't micromanage? Do they covet flex time at work? Or do they want more of a work-life balance? Do they feel more fulfilled working long hours? Whatever the answers are, you must recognize that these are just differences, and it would be a mistake to think that their way was the wrong way just because it's not your way. There is a real opportunity here to overcome generational barriers by playing up to one another's strengths. Explore what can be learned from one another and take advantage of having another viewpoint. As for the organization, it really makes sense to confront the issue head-on instead of avoiding it. Embrace generational differences in mentoring relationships. If done correctly, they benefit everyone. Think back to that first Clutterbuck quote. And just like the mentor and mentee must have that heightened awareness of how their relationship will be impacted based on those differences, so does the company. And it should ideally do its best to accommodate each generation's preferred work style, understanding that each generation brings something to the table. So that is the end of the slide deck. Today we discussed cultural and generational barriers in diverse mentoring relationships. The overarching theme that we saw here today is that if you do your homework and you engage one another, if you communicate freely and stay open-minded, your mentoring relationship, as diverse as it is, can be a success.